Rambo 5 lands Get the Gringo director Adrian Grunberg. That is the headline on this week's Movie Burner News. And joining us as always is John, and we're going to get right into the headline here, John. This is Sly Stallone's 5th instalment of the Rambo series. We talked about this back in the day on the Movie Burner podcast a few months ago, and at the time I do believe that Sylvester Stallone was linked to directing this movie. We now know from movieweb.com, this comes from, that director Adrian Grunberg is at the helm. Certainly this is going to be some great news. He's a fantastic director. I think he's actually working on a few episodes of Narcos as well. He's a talented man. I think this will help the franchise as well. The last Rambo, I think it's called John Rambo, from 10 years ago or so, kind of got mixed reviews. I enjoyed it actually. I thought it was one of the best Rambo films ever made. Horses for courses though, but it's good to see that we've got an established director coming in, Adrian Grunberg, and this will, give Sly Stallone that bit more sort of freedom to focus on the producing side of it and the acting side of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is absolutely fantastic news for this film. A lot of people were slagging the last Rambo film. I actually didn't think it was bad at all. Very vicious, very violent, gory film. Certainly brought home the horrors of this sort of conflict where you're running about jungles and stuff like that, and you're dealing with guerrilla warfare and stuff like that. So I never had any issues with that. Obviously Sly directed that. We know he's a pretty accomplished director in his own right, but much like Creed 2, he's handed over the reins to someone that could get on board with the character more. And I think this is more of the same with Adrian Grunberg coming in. Just look through this guy's history. As you did say, he's worked on Narcos, directed quite a few episodes, 12 I believe in fact. He directed Jack Reacher Never Go Back, which was actually a decent film, similar to a film we were talking about yesterday, Mission Impossible. It's kind of like those two characters seem to blend into one, Tom Cruise playing the both. Sense8 as well, another fantastic series. Edge of Darkness, Apocalypto, Jarhead, Master and Commander of the Far Side of the World. He's been assistant directors and unit directors on these, Collateral Damage, Traffic, the list goes on. He's an incredibly talented guy. The fact that he's been involved in Narcos, which is a kind of a drug cartel, trafficking sort of a setup. I believe it's like Colombia. I've not actually seen it, but I know my father's watched it, my sister's watched it, and they've got nothing but high praise for that series. So that is very good, because this film is going to be based around human trafficking, them taking young children and women across the border into Mexico and trafficking them, obviously. So if you've got a guy with a history of directing a series that's about drug trafficking, and it's kind of a similar concept, it can be nothing but positives for this film. And I can't wait to see what the hell he does with it. I love the Rambo franchise. It's just been synonymous with Sly Stallone for 3 or 4 decades now. I don't want to see it disappear, and I want to see them freshening the character up as long as the guy's able to do it. And if handing it over to this guy's the best thing for the film, I certainly think it is, then more the power to Sly and Adrian Grunberg. But the official synopsis has got me hooked. They've got this guy on board. This has got me even more hooked. It's starting filming next month, and it's all things go for this.
Sylvester Stallone in his 70s now, John. It's absolutely amazing that this guy is still, knocking out these action films, high quality action films at that as well. This will come on the back of Creed 2. He's just wrapped filming this sequel to the original Creed film. This comes out here in the UK in a few months' time. I'm certainly looking forward to that. This might be one of the reasons that they've had to bring on a more established director to take the reins of this film. I don't think there's going to be a lot of time in between the post-production in Creed 2 and starting this new John Rambo project. And as I said, it's going to help Sylvester Stallone in performing better. Then I'm all for this. It's scheduled for an autumn release here in the UK in 2019, so we're a good year away, and he's certainly going to be in shape for this anyway, coming off the back of Creed 2, so I don't think he's going to be doing much more working out. But for a man in his 70s to be still doing this is phenomenal. I certainly am looking forward to this. When we talked about this a few months ago, John, I was looking forward to it then, but the fact that they've got Adrian Grunberg on board now, I'm certainly looking forward to it a lot more.
Yeah, and also we titled the headline up with Get the Gringo director, and this is a film which didn't get a widespread release in the United States, but certainly got an 81% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So if this is his first proper directing project, then what a project to have. 81% rating on Rotten Tomatoes is fantastic. I just love the fact that he is coming off the back of Creed 2. He's going to be pumped up. We've seen videos of a guy doing workouts. He's in his 70s, but he's infinitely in better shape than me. I mean, I couldn't lift half the weights this guy's lifting. So he's well in shape. He's more than capable of doing the role justice. I know I'm at the risk of repeating myself here, Stephen, but just the fact that it is about him coming up against Mexican drug lords on the border between the US and Mexico. And it's going to be almost like a Sicario film, which incidentally Grunberg's worked with Benicio del Toro before, and it's just pointing to it being a real positive and bringing this guy on. He's got experience with similar settings, he knows what he's doing. We were just looking at that photo, Stephen, in this article that Stallone put up on Instagram of a character of Rambo standing with the famous red bandana draping down his back in the rain with a knife, a massive big knife in his hand. What an amazing picture, utterly iconic representation of this character.
Yeah, John, Get the Gringo was actually called How I Spent My Summer Vacation, I think probably here and in Europe and other places. I certainly didn't know this film, Get the Gringo, which was co-produced by Mel Gibson apparently. Yeah. But just looking at his previous work as first assistant director and second unit director and assistant director, which he's more used to in his previous work. I remember that one of the films he was involved with Mel Gibson, The Edge of Darkness, from about 7, 8 years ago. It's one of those movies that kind of went under the radar a little. I thought it was a great film. So if it's got that kind of grittiness to it, I'm certainly on board anyway, because it's a Rambo movie. I love the Rambo movies. I know it's not got an official release date yet, but we know it's sometime in the autumn, also known as the fall, 2019.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're going to move on, Stephen, to the next topic, which is about Neill Blomkamp hinting that actor Peter Weller could return in his upcoming Robocop film. This was also the film which was going to be a continuation of the first Robocop film. I think it was going to kick out the ensuing sequels, which were ever diminishing returns, really. They were crapper and crapper. I loved them when I was a little boy. I couldn't tell the difference. I didn't care. But this is good news again, Stephen. If we could get this guy on board, we're talking about actors being synonymous with roles. This guy, Peter Weller, utterly synonymous with Robocop. I don't think you could do a Robocop film taking place straight after the events of Robocop 1 and not have him come in. They could de-age him, they could put prosthetics on him and make it work. And it's promising that he's hinting at this. Yeah,
this came from a fan on Twitter, John, that simply asked the question, who should play Robocop? And he came back with the best two-word answer of all time, according to theplaylist.net, and his answer was simply Peter Weller. It can work, you're right. In this day and age, it certainly can work. We've saw, another actor come in and play the sort of action sequences of Chewbacca in the latest Star Wars movies. I think the actor's name was Jonas Suotamo, I think it might have been something like that anyway. And he did all the sort of grafting parts of the character with Peter Mayhew, sort of doing the sort of close-up stuff, as just to keep him in the loop. In this case, they certainly could do that. Peter Weller's now in his 70s, I think now, but he's always going to be Robocop as far as I'm concerned. I did a movie review on the original not that long ago. It really took me back to a time when I was just obsessed with this character, loved the world that Peter Verhoeven created, and the sheer violence in the movie as well. I think for a so-called comic book character, this was one of the most violent comic book characters movies of its day back in 1987. So we talked about this on a podcast a few months ago when they were talking about this reboot/sequel. I don't think it's actually confirmed where it's going yet, John, whether or not it's going to be a reboot or a sequel. I certainly do hope that down the road it's going to be a direct sequel to the original. Failing that, the second movie was not too bad. I think at that point Peter Weller had enough and had no involvement in the third part of that trilogy. But it'd be great to see him coming back. It certainly could work with Peter Weller doing the sort of close-up shots when he's not got the visor on, and it's certainly something that could work. I think Peter Weller could be on board for this as well. Certainly with the if these are based on the unproduced sequel scripts by the original writers Ed Neumeyer and Michael Miner, John. I think that was one of the problems with the third instalment of that original trilogy of these films. I don't think the third movie had the same writing qualities of certainly the first one and perhaps the second one. It's been a long time since I've seen the sequel, but the original movie was such a iconic piece of 80s film. It's certainly one that I do like to go back to every now and again. And I'm looking forward to seeing more news of this coming out, because I think they've got the right team on board, and if they can get Peter Weller back in some kind of capacity, that'll just be the icing on the cake.
Yeah, I think I may have been mistaken this with the Halloween reboot, which was going to be a continuation of the same universe, but totally ignoring the other sequels. I think what they were doing, I think we did speak about this, Stephen, maybe 3 or 4 months back. I think what the plan was to go back and remake the original sequel film. The idea they had a sequel script that was thrown out for whatever reason. Ed Lumiere, as you did say, Michael Miner were involved in that, so I think that's the plan. Neill Blomkamp wants to go back, remake their script. Those two guys, I believe, are going to be taking a producing role in this. Justin Rhodes is going to be touching up the script a little bit and maybe rejigging it to add some modern touches to it, maybe make it a little more streamlined, I don't know. But as you did say, it could absolutely work. You could either do the close-ups of Peter Weller and then pan out to maybe a stunt double doing the more labour-intensive stuff. Or as they do say in this article further down on the playlist, they could go down the Terminator route and just explain it off as them having organic matter that's aged over the years. The skin's aged, he's got older in the suit, and he could come in and play it as an older version of the character, Alex Murphy. So the possibilities are endless here, but one thing you can't write off the guy's voice. It's so iconic, it's so synonymous with the role. It's like recasting Darth Vader in a Star Wars film. You just can't do it. And as they do say, and you touched upon it, Stephen, as well, just the movements, the guy's chops, the way he brought the character to life, it was so unique. And they do touch upon it in this article. You can go on and watch the behind the scenes stuff of the film being made, the original film, and the way he put his heart and soul into the character. He made all the things that are just synonymous with the character. Now you look back, the movements, the mannerisms, the voice, everything is all down to Peter Weller. So if they can get this guy on board, that'd be absolutely amazing for me. It would lend so much legitimacy to this sequel taking place right after the events of Robocop, and it being the unused sequel script that they had originally. If we can get the original guy in, all the better. Peter
Weller, I think there was a video on YouTube about a month ago, John. He was actually talking about, those things you just spoke about, the movement and stuff like that. It's an interesting video. You should actually check this video out, where he goes into great depths on how he developed the movements of Robocop and stuff like that, and really did, as you said, brought life to the character, and some of the voice work as well was amazing from Peter Weller. It's interesting that you mentioned Justin Rhodes. He's actually co-writing the upcoming Terminator reboot as well. I do hope that somewhere down the line they're not tempted into doing some kind of a crossover universe. There was an actual video game that came out for the Sega Mega Drive back in the mid-90s. It was called Terminator vs Robocop. It was a great, absolutely amazing game, and it did really whet the appetite to think what it would be like if these two iconic characters shared the same universe. But I certainly hope they don't do that. They certainly tried it with Alien vs Predator and it didn't work. And I'm just looking forward to this. Robocop's one of my favourite sort of graphic comic book heroes, and it will be interesting to see where this goes further down the line. But if they can get Peter Weller back just as one last time as Alex Murphy, then I'm certainly on board.
Yeah, the final thing that I'll add, Stephen, is that it will just be iconic to see that silver chromey suit again, because that remake horrendous film from a couple of years ago with the blackish suit and the red visor, it just wasn't Robocop. If it's going to be a continuation of the first film, then it will be amazing to see that iconic suit back again. Big part of my childhood, I had all the toys and stuff like that, and I loved it, so it'll be fantastic to see. But we're going to move on, Stephen, to the next topic, which is all about Netflix snapping all of the user reviews out of existence. That's also a play on the latest Avengers Infinity War, and Thanos snapping half the universe out of existence. Netflix customers can no longer write or read user reviews for any of the content on the streaming platform. Are you happy with this? Do you care about this? Are you ambivalent towards this? I didn't even know there was reviews on the site, Stephen, I've got to be honest.
Yeah, the thing about Netflix, John, is that we all access this on our devices. Very rarely do you actually go on a PC or a iMac or whatever, a laptop, to watch Netflix. It's more a convenient way to watch your favourite shows and films and stuff like that the streaming site is hosting. I didn't know they had this, section on their site. They're certainly going down the same road as IMDb did. I think maybe about a year and a half, 2 years ago, taking down their message boards because they were being abused basically by trolls and stuff like that. Netflix actually claims that this user review system was removed due to a lack of use. I can't actually believe that because I didn't even know they had this. I know that they changed their whole rating system and stuff like that. It was more going down the road a Facebook thumbs up type thing for films and stuff like that. Personally, I would just remove these things because there's too many idiots out there on social media that are just determined to sort of ruin the experience for normal people. Certainly the normal people within the Netflix community, I don't think are really going to miss this. There's plenty of sites out there that review movies anyway, if you want to go and check them out before you hit that play button on Netflix. I'll tell you something else, the whole 5-star rating system, or the thumbs up one, I didn't really pay attention to either. Certainly when I go on Netflix, I look at a movie, see who's in it, I'll check on the internet to see, maybe IMDb or whatever, check out the reviews on that, see if it's a good film. I don't necessarily base my decision making on other people's reviews anyway, but if I get curious, I certainly do go down that road, maybe go on Rotten Tomatoes and take it from there. But it's certainly something that's not going to really change my experience of Netflix. I take Netflix as it is. You get some good stuff, you get some really bad stuff, and that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, this I think was put in place a few months back. They says this was going to be happening. You could submit and read reviews up until the middle of 2018, and they've stood by the word. They've came and they've removed it. I'm not against it. I don't care really, as you did say, Stephen. Lots of websites, Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb, just independent review sites where you can go on and find out all you want about these films before you click on them. TV series. It doesn't really bother me any because most of the content that I do consume on Netflix is stuff I already know about. The Marvel TV series like Daredevil, The Punisher and all these things. And I know this is high caliber content, so I don't really need a review to tell me. I find it interesting in the article that they do quote an Amy Schumer comedy special, a stand-up special, in particular getting trashed right from the start by a coordinated attack from fans online who are not particularly fond of Amy Schumer. They were slaughtering her show. Now it gets brought down. Does Amy Schumer really get that much power in Hollywood that she can influence Netflix to bring it down? Was this all Amy Schumer's fault? I don't know. I hate her as well. I don't like her. I don't like her comedy.
John, but I'll tell you something. I think you might have led this coordination. I think it's just the way you're going on here. But you may think, why are we actually talking about this when we actually don't care? I'll tell you one of the reasons is because in this last paragraph of this report from movieweb.com, it actually made me chuckle, where it says, when Netflix originally announced that they were getting rid of the user reviews, there was not very much of a reaction, either negative or positive, but that looks like it has started to change now that they have officially implemented it. It doesn't change my view, certainly one bit, but it did make me chuckle just reading that when they did originally announce this, no one really gave a damn. Yeah,
that's like the classic saying, isn't it, Stephen? You don't know what you have until it's gone. These people probably didn't care about it. You've got the trolls firing reviews out, and then it's gone and they're all kicking up a fuss. The toys are getting kicked out of the pram, lobbed 50 metres into the distance. But listen, there's conspiracy theories getting bandied about here that it could be Netflix doing this because they're releasing a whole host of new original content and they don't want feedback on it. They don't want negative feedback on it because, as we do know, I've said it before, 50 to 60% hit ratio, I would say. 50% utter shite from Netflix, 50% usually pretty good. So I don't think that's the case. So as I did say, you'll have the likes of Empire, Roger Ebert, and a whole host of other prominent and famous review sites reviewing their content anyway. Netflix is such a big part of the film industry now, and it's grown by the day. We're going to have the likes of Disney stepping into it, that these big and respected reviewers have to take it serious. So this isn't going to make a difference at all. If it's shite and it's not worth watching, then believe me, we will find out about it and we'll not waste our time. But I'm going to be moving over to Disney soon anyway, Steve, so I don't give a crap. But we're going to move on to the next topic, and it's all about Ryan Reynolds and his utter infatuation with Hugh Jackman. It's continuing. He wants Hugh to appear in a new Deadpool movie, but not as Wolverine. I think it's X-Force, so not Deadpool.
Yeah, that's a cameo, John. I'm not sure I like this, I've got to be honest. And I don't know, up until the film's release, I loved all the promotion that Ryan Reynolds was doing for Deadpool 2. But he just doesn't shut up about this now.
No.
And he certainly doesn't shut up about wanting Hugh Jackman on board in any capacity. In this report from Cinema Blend, it's about a cameo. I don't really want that. I can go back to, it was a deleted scene in Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines where they had Arnold Schwarzenegger portraying another character within the movie story. Apparently the likeness of the Terminator was based on this character. I don't know if you've seen this. It was like a badly dubbed sort of Texan accent they gave Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it was. I'm glad they deleted it from the initial release of the movie, but they put it in the DVD sort of bonus things, and I hated it. I don't want Hugh Jackman being involved in any cameo whatsoever. He's played Logan in so many cameos. I think the last one was in Apocalypse, which was just a pointless scene. It was just I think it was like one scene. We saw him playing the Wolverine, and it was just, there was no need for it. We've seen him play a cameo in First Class as well, but that was actually quite well handled. It was one line he had, and it was quite an iconic line as well that he delivered to James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender.
Fuck off.
That was it, yep. That's it. I don't really want to see him playing himself in this universe. I know that Deadpool breaks down the fourth wall anyway in regards to the X-Men franchise, and I think it actually says that the Deadpool franchise exists on the fringes of the X-Men franchise, and that's a perfect description of the Deadpool franchise. I'll keep saying franchise. Can't use that word enough. But I know that he's good friends with Hugh Jackman, and I think he's just desperate to get him involved in any capacity. I understand that, but I don't want to see it.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same, Stephen. If we can't get Hugh back, it's one last time to play Wolverine or Logan, whatever the hell you want to call him, in some capacity, be it a small cameo, just to appease Ryan Reynolds and get this out of his system, because the guy has been wanting this for years upon years upon years, almost as long as he was fighting to get Deadpool out, a decent version of a character, not that abomination from the Origins film. But yeah, I hope that this doesn't happen. But saying that, listen, I'm talking crap. I'd like to see Hugh Jackman appear in it just to scratch the itch of Ryan Reynolds, get it out of the way, because he'd tear him shreds in the film anyway. But he says it there, I'm just going to double down on Hugh Jackman, but not as Logan, just as Hugh Jackman. He says it as well. I watched the Comic-Con panel where it was the super duper cut of Deadpool 2, and he was asked, who would you like to join X-Force, and with some suggestions like Howard the Duck and Celine Dion, but Ryan Reynolds threw in Hugh Jackman again because he just loves the guy. But I don't really know any way where this could be done and be done correctly, where we get a fitting introduction of the character. We can't get Wolverine back because he's just not going to play him again. He's done with it. He's cut ties. Maybe we can get something like the guy who played in Great Showman. I forget the name. I forget the bloody name. What is that guy's name? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But we could get him in. They say in this article we could get the less miserable character, which apparently Ryan Reynolds is all up for. He says, oh, totally. So he doesn't care what character comes in. It doesn't need to be Wolverine. It could be Hugh Jackman playing Howard the Duck, and he'd be happy. So I wouldn't like to see Hugh coming back as a shite cameo as Wolverine, but if we can get him in some capacity to make Ryan happy, then all the better for it. I don't think it'll be a Deadpool 3 film, no, it'll probably be X-Force. Maybe he'll come in as a cameo as X-Force, because we did see in Deadpool 2 what happened to the first recruits of X-Force. They get killed in a whole host of hilarious ways. So maybe that could happen, I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, John, well, that remains to be seen, but I'm pretty sure this won't be the last time we hear Ryan Reynolds going on about Hugh Jackman and trying to get him on board for either a Deadpool 3 cameo or X-Force. But we're going to move on to our final piece of news this week. This comes from slashfilm.com in regards to Disney's Lady and the Tramp remake. It adds Tessa Thompson and Benedict Wong to the cast. This is one that I've been keeping my eye on for the last few months now, John, in regards to this new live-action film. It's going to be coming out. It's a remake of the classic Disney animated film, which I'm pretty sure that most people have seen. This is one that certainly I grew up with. And this is going to be the usual live-action CGI, very much in the vein of Beauty and the Beast, where it's going to be probably a scene-for-scene remake. It's not a bad thing, I'm not criticising it, but to get Tessa Thompson and Benedict Wong on board is fantastic. I think we're getting also Thomas Mann coming in to play the role of Jim Deere, who is the human owner of Lady, as we all know. Disney just seem to have a success rate with these live action reincarnations of their old animated films, John, which are classics in their own right. We've seen it, as I said, with Beauty and the Beast last year, and The Jungle Book as well. Let's not forget that. That's an absolute amazing transition over to the live action version of it. Certainly, maybe it's not going to be regarded as a classic such as the original Jungle Book film from the 1960s, but it's certainly going to be interesting to see how they're going to, use the CG for these canine characters.
Yeah, I didn't even know this film was in production or in pre-production. I didn't know it was announced. I was a big fan of Lady and the Tramp film when I was a little boy. I've not seen it in about 20 years or something. I know the basics. They get together. It's a high-floating dog, mixing with a trampish dog. The owners, I can't remember what happens, but they end up getting embroiled with each other. There's 2 Siamese cats, which are a couple of gits. I remember the famous spaghetti scene, and there's musical elements to it as well. I think that's the case with most of the Disney cartoon films. So I'm all on board for this. As you did say, they've got a success, very high success hit rate with these live action adaptations of a classical cartoon series, or films. And as you did say, Beauty and the Beast, Jungle Book, we've got The Lion King coming out next year. So I'm sure this will be absolutely brilliant. Certainly the cast are putting together really does hint at it. I believe it's going to do the same sort of a thing that Paddington, Christopher Robin more recently, and a whole host of other films have done. Peter Rabbit as well, obviously. We've got a mixture of human characters acting alongside CG animal characters. We're not going to have some weird thing that I looked at when I was looking this up, Stephen. There was a photograph of 2 real dogs sitting at a table eating a horrendous looking spaghetti bolognese. The meatball looked like a plastic moulded, Campbell's meatball. It's like heart and lung and stuff in it. Hope it's definitely not going to be that. I'm not even going to say hope. It's not going to be that. It's going to be a combination of CG and live action, which has worked very well for all those franchises I spoke about. I'm sure it'll work very well for this too. Thomas Mann in there, great. I see that Ashley Jensen's in there as well, obviously from Extras fame. She was in the Lobster as well. She was incredible in that. Benedict Wong, brilliant actor. Tessa Thompson, absolutely loved her in Thor Ragnarok and a whole host of other films. So it's looking up for this film. It's looking up. I don't want to see a scene-for-scene remake. I'd like to see them maybe freshen up with a couple of new things, but I don't think they will. Certainly they did a scene-for-scene remake of Beauty and the Beast. It wasn't horrendous. They did add in a couple of things. They sorted out some continuity issues, like how the hell she got the beast back onto the horse and stuff like that. But I'm sure we'll get the same with this. But listen, the signs are very promising for it. They're putting together a very good cast. Charlie Bean is a very good director with a good history steeped in the cartoon and stuff like that. So it's a guy who knows how to handle these sort of things. Disney have got a very high success rate, as I did say, and I'm sure it'll not be crap by any means.
Yeah, Justin Theroux is going to be voicing the Tramp, John. As we said, Tessa Thompson is going to be voicing Lady. Benedict Wong is going to be voicing, I think it's a bulldog, character Bull, I think it's called. It's a stray English bulldog. And as you mentioned, John, our very own Ashley Jensen is going to be playing a Scottish Terrier named Jackie. Now, I noticed in the cast list the character of Jock, isn't there, who was the Scottish Terrier from the original movie, and I'm kind of it looks like there's going to be a bit of a gender swap in here. Those chaps and chapesses at Disney have done it again. It's interesting to see that.
Actually Jensen, Stephen, that's playing it, and it's Jackie.
It's Jackie. So there's definitely a gender swap in there for that character. But it's interesting to see from I think it's comicbook.com, John, in regards to this live action. It's actually going to be one of the first original movies to be released on Disney's streaming services. That's very interesting. I don't know how that'll work. It could be what we were talking about maybe about a month or 2 ago in regards to a lot of films. I think the new Mowgli film is going to be released in that same fashion on Netflix, where it's going to have a cinematic release, but it's going to be on the streaming service. So I can see it probably going down that road of maybe having a general release in the cinemas, perhaps in 3D or whatever, and maybe on the streaming services, certainly on the Disney streaming service, for a wider audience. But I'm actually surprised at that, because I think The Lady and the Tramp is it's just as big a story as the likes of Beauty and the Beast and The Jungle Book, if not bigger than The Jungle Book. I don't know, but that's just my opinion. I'm very surprised with that news coming from comicbook.com. I don't know if that's a rumour or not, if that's been confirmed, but I'm very surprised with that.
Yeah, well, they're saying it's going to be the first original movie, so I don't know where they've got their information from. I'm sure they've got some sort of a source on it. Maybe they're talking crap, I don't know, but I'm sure it'll still get a cinematic release of some sort, Stephen. Whether it be a limited or a full release, and then it's going to debut on the streaming service by the time it comes out. Certainly, I don't know when the release date is for this, so it could be that it gets a cinematic release, then makes its debut on the new Disney streaming service. But I think this is going to be something we'll see developing going on into the future, where we'll see Netflix exclusive animated films, or just films in general, then Disney having exclusive films. Certainly I would be more inclined to go and watch the Disney exclusive films, because they've got a higher calibre of animated films throughout the history. But the likes of Thomas Mann coming in, this is a guy that's been in Kong Skull Island and a whole host of amazing films. They've got a great cast coming on board. They've got a great director that's been involved in the Lego Ninjago film. He's got experience in these sort of animated films. He knows what he's doing, and the signs are pointing to it being a very good release. I know it will be. I'll go and watch it, because I loved all these classic cartoons. This will rejolt me, my memory of them, and it'll bring back my childhood. So anything that does that's good, because I'm nearing 30 and that's sad.
Yeah, John, I think I probably picked that up wrong then. It does say Lady and the Tramp is going to be one of the first original movies to be released. It doesn't say it's going to premiere on the streaming service. So yeah, you're right there. It's probably out of the new original films from Disney, this will be the first one that will go on the streaming service. I get that now. Yeah,
and also, this comes back into what we were speaking about, Stephen. I don't know if it was on the False Friday show or some other show, but we were speaking about the Disney service and how they're not going to be concerned about Star Wars films not coming back to 2024, because they're going to have a whole host of original content to mine off of amazing cartoons, original animated films from the 50s and stuff. Even these live action remakes, this is another sign that what I was talking about. You're going to have the likes of The Jungle Book, Lady and the Tramp going on it, the new Lion King. So they're going to have a whole host of varied content. All the Daredevil, Punisher, Luke Cage films and all of that coming on, Jessica Jones, all those amazing TV shows, all the stuff they're getting from Fox, and then just the likes of these new amazing live action animated films, which will just be a great bolster and boost in the arm for the, I'm sure, intense battle with Netflix over the years. This is going to be a battle between the two streaming giants. I'm sure Amazon will be left in the dust eventually, but I've not got much more to add, Stephen. It's great news that we're getting another Disney live action remake of a classic cartoon film. I was brought up with these in my childhood, and I'm delighted to see they're going to be doing another one.
Yeah, just going back, John, to what you're saying about Netflix there. I think it's going to be a totally different streaming service once all those Marvel television series are then passed on to the Disney streaming service. Certainly Netflix and Disney are going to be two totally different streaming services. I think Netflix are now relying more on their original content, which I can understand. Are they getting there as far as the quality goes? It still remains to be seen. I think, for every great original content film, there's probably about 3 howlers in there at the moment, sadly. They're just not quite there. But listen, the way films are being released now, it's really just conditioning your audiences to accept that perhaps that somewhere down the line Netflix is going to become some sort of platform for independent films to be premiered on, and I get that. I think that's where it's going to go, because they're not going to be able to rely on the Marvel stuff, etc. And Disney, I've got so much material in their back catalogue, and you're right, John, they're not going to be losing any sleep over getting those TV rights back from I think it was the Turner, TNT and stuff like that. I don't think they're going to be losing much sleep over that. In time, Disney will have that on board. But at the moment, you're right, they're going to have all this stuff coming over from Fox, those classic films as well from Disney, the animated ones. And the sort of more up-to-date ones, like we're talking about Jungle Book, Beauty and the Beast, they're all going to be on there. We're going to have the X-Men franchise on there as well. The list goes on. For the animated stuff as well, the television series from Rebels, the Clone Wars, all that kind of thing, it's all going to be there. And obviously, you know, the new sequel trilogy is going to be on there as well from Star Wars, and the standalone films Rogue One and Solo. So there's a lot there anyway. I'm looking forward to it. I'm you know, the same as yourself. I think once Disney's streaming site goes up, it might take a little while for it to settle in, but I think I'll be switching over to that once it's in full flow.
Yeah, it's the final thing I will add, Stephen, as much on what you say about the differences between Netflix and Disney once the two streaming services are vying for control of that digital streaming market. I think you will see Netflix going further and further into their original content. They're already a company that gives an incredible amount of freedom to filmmakers. It maybe gives them the chance to make a film that otherwise they wouldn't have a hope in hell of getting made with a traditional movie studio. You've seen the likes of Kevin Smith, saying he can't believe the amount of freedom he gets. He can go in and pitch an idea and they'll just say, yeah, on you go, do what the hell you want with it. Disney, I think, will be more like a traditional movie studio, a big Goliath coming in and try to get a sizable part of this new digital streaming boom that we've seen over the last 5-6 years. So it'll be two different companies coming from two totally different directions. But yeah, I can't wait to see what the hell they do. I'll probably be more inclined to go to Disney just because I like more of their content. But that brings us to the end of this week's episode of Movie Burner News, where we talk about all the latest entertainment news and whatnot. We'd just like to thank you for listening to us once again, and we'll be back tomorrow with the Movie Burner blog rundown.
Remember guys, if you enjoyed that episode, then do hit that like button, comment below, and maybe subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already. If you want to follow us on social media for all the latest updates from Movie Burner Entertainment, then we can be found on Twitter and Facebook at Movie Burners. You can also listen to us on Google Play and iTunes at the Movie Burner Podcast. And last but not least, if you want to access all the latest written reviews and the occasional article, then that can be found on our website at movieburnerentertainment.org. Until the next time, goodbye.